Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Packed or Factor Live on Sifted.net. You're a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber, which makes you our favorite people in the world. Thank you for supporting Shane with your generous contributions to either subscription. If you are doing those or not, if you can't afford to do a subscription or you don't find my work interesting enough to pay for, please try to remember to link your Amazon Prime account and your Twitch Prime account. There are instructions on how to do that in the show description below. It's really easy to do. It's like 3 clicks. You have to redo that every month. So if you haven't done it in a few weeks, please double check and link them again. Each time you do that, it's free. You pay nothing. You've already paid for Prime, but Prime pays Shane. With that, let's get to today's topic, which is that Jade Raymond has left PlayStation and hasn't shipped a game. She does, in fact, have a game that's apparently pretty close, but not receiving great feedback in the alpha and beta tests. And this is her third job, I believe. She worked at EA after Ubisoft, and then she worked at Google Stadia, and now she's worked at PlayStation, and she hasn't shipped a game. EA, I think she left in 2018, so she probably got there in 2016-ish. So we're literally looking at about 9 years of Jade employment without shipping a game. And I want to preface what I'm about to say with, I freaking love Jade Raymond. She's awesome. I think she is supremely talented, and I think she's made a couple of bad career choices. So let's start with EA. She went to work there after pretty phenomenal success at Ubisoft. She kind of was manager of the Assassin's Creed franchise from the get-go and did really, really well. Went to EA, big signing, big deal. EA made a big commotion of how they've signed her and Amy Hennig, and they had all these talented people. And in the year leading up to Jade leaving, she left around, I don't know, September, October of 2018. You can look it up. But they also lost Patrick Soderlund from DICE, Patrick Bach from DICE, Amy Hennig, who was formerly Naughty Dog and kind of invented the whole Uncharted series, and she was working on, I think, a Star Wars game as well. And a handful of others. They lost the BioWare team. That Matt Bromberg left. They fired Aaron Flynn. I think they might not yet have fired Casey Hudson, but that came a little bit later. So I wrote a note critical of EA management for allowing this much talent to leave, just lumping all those people together. And Patrick Soto and Patrick Bach were the Battlefield franchise, so they matter. And I got a nasty call from the CFO at EA. I had criticized Samantha Ryan, and not that she was incompetent, but I said she was over her head, because every time they fired a studio head, they assigned that studio to Samantha Ryan. So poor Samantha Ryan was running, EA Montreal and EA Edmonton and EA, Austin, all the BioWare studios, and the San Francisco studio that Amy Hennig worked at. It was way too much. So I said Samantha Ryan's way over her head, and Blake was especially upset about her because she was still there. So I was criticizing somebody still there, saying they're over their head, which is a fair comment. And Blake Jorgensen, the CFO, told me, we got rid of these people because, especially Jade, really high maintenance. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm high maintenance. And by the way, fellow babies, if you don't know that, then this must be your first episode. I am demanding, I expect my firm to do things for me that they do because they're great. I work for a phenomenal firm. So Jade was that. And I said to Blake, your job is not to fire high maintenance people. Your job is to maintain them, figure out what it takes to keep them happy, because they're good. And I said, this brain drain at EA, I think you guys are on the verge of releasing a bunch of crappy games. So I'm just going to remind you, has anybody heard of Anthem? Oh yeah, that wasn't very good. They really haven't released very many games, but largely they haven't been as good as they were when all those people worked there. So Jade left in the middle. There was a Star Wars game under development. They kept it under development. I think that might be the one that got canceled. I'm not really sure because there's been about 5 different Star Wars games. The Respawn games absolutely were not Jade's. I think Jade had the first person shooter one that got canceled, but I'm not 100% sure. Then she went to Stadia. Well, of course, she never delivered anything at Stadia. Stadia was a joke. And she went there because she got lulled into a false sense of confidence because Phil Harrison hired her. Phil Harrison's a really great guy, but he walked into Stadia expecting that Google would put resources behind it to actually make games, and they pulled the rug out from under everybody after about 2 years. So that lasted 2 years. They never shipped anything. Stadia is an afterthought. I don't even know if it exists anymore. It does. Nobody uses it, so who cares? And then she went to PlayStation. And she arrived at PlayStation right around the time of the pivot from we're going to do core games that are single player games to we're going to do multiplayer live service games. And while I think there's plenty of money to be earned in live service multiplayer games, it is a skill to make one that single player game studios tend not to possess. It is hard. And so when you have single player studios, they tend not to understand what to do for live service. And the trick with live service, I truly believe this, is to make a fun game that has a compelling value proposition economy built in that makes the player indifferent between spending money and earning things. And by indifferent, I mean most of the stuff, even people who spend money, most things they earn for free. And they only spend money occasionally when they need to save time. And so people with more money than time will spend money and preempt the process, and people with more time than money will grind it out. So balancing that is really hard. And there is a whole class of game developers called game economists that kind of figure out how to balance that and figure out what the right formula is. And even they don't get it right all the time. I have a buddy who worked at Warner Brothers, and he noticed that everybody who'd been playing the game for a year or more was, let's say, at level 30, and newbies, the new starter pack got you to level 10. And he said, why don't we make the starter pack get you to level 25 so you're close and you're competitive? And that they made that small change and revenues tripled in the first month. So, it's simple stuff like that in live service games that it's not natural to think about that, because again, if you play single player games, you don't think about player progression for a new player coming in to compete with existing players. For a single player game, you think about player progression just to get through the game and get to the final boss battle. So again, I think that Jade made a big mistake at Google. I think Sony trying to have her do live service game. To me, it's like hiring James Cameron to make a reality TV show. He's great at Avatar. He's probably wouldn't be good at American Idol. So they kind of mismatched it, and her game apparently didn't work. So of course, typical Sony, rather than admit that they were wrong in trying to pivot to live service games, they just, I don't know if they fired her or they got frustrated with her and she quit, but she's gone and they're still on this live service gig. Let's name all the Sony games that are live service that are really generating a lot of revenue. So they just keep bumping their head against the wall. I got to say, I think Sony is really a badly run organization. I think they don't know what they're doing, and they're abandoning the stuff that they're good at, which is single player games, in favor of stuff that they're not good at, which is live service. And, who do we blame? I guess you could blame Hermen Hulst, who I really like. Hermen came in, and Hermen is Horizon Zero Dawn, so great game franchise. But I think he went with management saying, let's lean into live service, and then they didn't hire the right people. Is none of it her fault? Her mistake was taking a job with an organization that lost its way, and her mistake was accepting an assignment that she was not capable of fulfilling to the satisfaction of her superiors. So yes, she made 2 mistakes. Don't take a job working for people who have no idea what they're doing, because you're going to fail. And that's that. So yes, she made a mistake taking a job there. Sony is a mess. I don't see them getting their mojo back anytime soon. I'm hopeful that Jade goes back to Ubisoft because she knows them, they know her, and they need help. And she could immediately fix things there. I would put her in charge of all studios, tell her to get their big franchises out more frequently. They have about 15 of them. So if they could get games out every 3 years, and she used to be good at that, they would have 5 big games a year, and that the studio would thrive. Ubisoft should grab her. EA, Blake's gone now. EA should grab her back and put her in charge of the Star Wars franchise, which obviously Vince is running, but she's good and she would thrive. Nintendo has at least continued to do what they do well and shied away from stuff they don't know how to do. Jade could go to work for Nintendo. It'd be a big departure. Jade is great. My guess is after these 3 jobs, Jade has accumulated, $10 or $20 million of wealth, and she may not decide to work anymore. I hope she does, because I think she's great. And I think there are upstart studios that would grab her in a heartbeat and would focus on doing this, this kind of stuff right. Annapurna, A24, the Skydance guys. There's plenty of guys out there who are trying to compete. Even the guys, the Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate guys. Any of those types of guys who are trying to make games that work in the West. Story-driven RPG, she's good at, and I think she is a great game maker. People who work on her team love her, so that's why I was so taken aback when Blake said she was high maintenance. She was high maintenance upward. My guess is because she was protecting her people. I've never met anybody who worked for her who didn't love her. So that's a quality that you just can't create. Hello, babies. Thank you for joining us and me on Pachter Factor Live. We really appreciate those of you who are Patreon patrons or YouTube subscribers. If you're doing that, keep it up. It's awesome. If you are doing that or not, please remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. It is free for you. Amazon pays. You've already paid. You're just leaving a couple of bucks wasted that would otherwise go from Amazon to Shane. So make it happen, please. Check the instructions on how to do that in the show description below. It's 3 clicks. Do it. If you haven't done it in a month, you got to do it again. So do it again. Do it again next week. Do it again the next week. Make it a habit. Put something on your calendar the first of every month. Remember to re-up Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime linked account, and put in parentheses instructions in the Pachter Factor show description. Thanks for joining us. We will see you on Pachter Factor Live next week.